At this time, we are open for public comment on any items. The public is reminded that all public complaints against a district employee must be made through a specific grievance process. A description of this process may be found in the Board of Ed Policy File Code 0167. This policy is available upon request in the Office of the Board Secretary. Any individual leaving an employee in a complaint before the Board of Education without the employee's permission could be cited for violating that employee's civil and contractual rights. So I have, hi.
Tracy Howell, 675 Hirsch Avenue. The reason I am standing up today is to let you know that the REA actually has appointed a Pride Chair. And the Pride Chair's position is to get the community involved in different activities and to do different activities in the schools to bring the community in. And part of that position is we can apply for grants from the union and get money to support some of these activities. And our Pride Chair in Runnemede is Mary Helder. She's over at Bingham School. And last week we were just informed that she has received almost $5,000 in grants from the NJEA. Part of them is $1,500 to use at budget time to support different events and mailings to help support the budget and the elections and getting everyone out. And also she'll be sponsoring the Teacher for a Day, which she'll be sending letters to you because the board members are also invited to take part in it and come into the classrooms and be a teacher for a day if they would like. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Well done. Well done, thank you.
Thanks, Tracy. Anyone else? Mr. Schmidt.
John Schmidt, Warren Thompson Avenue, Boston City. Good evening, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you all.
You too.
A number of questions tonight. This month I had inquired regarding the board, what they knew about the lawsuit. When was the last time they were updated on the lawsuit? It was 24 hours to all found out. I just want to make sure that the board, when was the first time the board knew about the hearing that was held last Friday in the case of Pat Birchman?
When did we find out about the hearing?
About the fact that there was going to be a hearing, or what?
That it was set, that it had been set for December 16th.
From you, Mr. Schmidt, last meeting?
Okay.
Because if I remember correctly, you asked us if any of us were going to go. Right?
That would have been November 16th.
I did not ask that question.
You informed us last meeting.
No,
During-
I don't think it was that last meeting. It came out the day after the last meeting.
So what's your point,
It was
Mr.
on a
Schmidt?
phone or something, it was somewhere.
Well, I'm just
What's your
wondering
point?
that, I'm just curious how the board found out. So it wasn't from the solicitor of the board?
No,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. I had asked last meeting, when was the last time the board received an update from their attorney regarding the case? He wasted 60 days. So that's why I was asking, I just wanted to get that on the record. Out of curiosity, has Dr. Ward spent any hours dealing with the suit? And if so, do you have an estimate number of hours since it was filed back or served back in June?
On given cases that we
Have I spent any hours dealing with the suit? Yes, we've had to collect information. I met with Mr. Herring. Mr. Herring and I had a couple of phone calls in reference to it.
Roughly estimate hours?
Oh, wow. Hard to say, you know, this is all part of a day's work. Perhaps 5-6 hours.
And what is your hourly rate to the district? Hopefully.
I've never calculated an hourly rate, Mr. Schmidt. If I calculated, I would probably make as much money as someone who works at a convenience store.
I'm curious, was there a reason why the board, none of the board or staff of the board were present? I thought I heard that, I think somebody from the board was gonna go, or,
No.
no.
We were represented by counsel.
Who is working with your lawyer, the lawyer handling the case? You really said Mr. Stern, I think, working with them pro bono, is that still the case?
Yes.
Okay. Two questions. questions, and I don't know if you can comment on this, but is there a reason why the board changed its mind on what should and should not have been redacted? In that case, there was items that the board had redacted when the documents were requested, and now that they're saying, well, not all of it should be redacted.
I'll answer that. The board's not gonna make any comments with regard to the ongoing litigation.
I thought that was the case, you know?
Let me finish, please. You asked a question, you want to answer. It was my consultation with Mr. Stern and with Dr. Ward with regard to the redactions, and as you're aware, since you were there Friday, I don't know, maybe you took a day off of work. We're gonna work together with Mr. Stern office to come up with a privilege log that the court requested, and that will be forwarded to the court and to Mr. Lawrence or John Path by January 6, 2012.
My question is, as part of the lawsuit against the board was not identifying redactions, and the board saying, well, you know, not all the redactions we made should have even been redacted. It's a waste of taxpayers' money. We could have avoided some of this. My next question is, and this really, well, this has to do with the case, but not really, this has to do with myself. Why is the board's attorney submitting a privilege log in the matter of Path versus the Running Board of Education, which contains redactions dealing with legal invoices? Mr. Path had requested minutes and a log, privilege log, that I had requested invoices and subsequently a privilege log and minutes.
I can answer that one
Why
also.
is my stuff somehow in the Path case, and can the lawyers not differentiate between the two jobs?
Because when I sent correspondence to the court, I included the legal bills submitted by both Mr. Stern and our firm, because I figured at some point they're gonna go before the court to evaluate. And I think you were there on Friday. I think the court said he reviewed the bills, even though they weren't part of the order, and thought that the bills were reasonable. I think he said very reasonable.
Why would the bills have anything to do with the case?
Is this a direct question to the
Yeah, I
board?
mean, well, I guess my question is, why is the board paying their insurance company, taxpayers' money, paying their insurance company, paying these attorneys to deal with legal invoices that were requested by myself that has no question?
Well, my question to you,
Is the
who
board
is
aware
supposed
of
to do
it?
that? Me?
Well, you're the head of the board.
Okay. I have to rely upon the experts in the case. I don't even know most of the language that you're asking.
Well, that's also concerning, because I think you all should have updates on what's going on.
Okay, well, that's not required of us, right?
But you're the ones that are being asked to make these decisions and spending thousands of dollars of taxpayers' money.
Right, but the question, you're not asking any question, Mr. Schmidt, that we can even answer. Like, I don't know what,
I mean, I guess.
I don't know what you want me to
Was
say.
the board aware prior to last Friday, okay, that the board's case, did your attorney consult with the board and say, hi, Board of Education, you're my boss, you're the one on the lawsuit, you represent the taxpayers who are paying for this. This is what we're giving to the court. I guess that's my question, that never happened, because if that did, maybe someone could have picked up, but why are we dealing with something that isn't even part of the lawsuit?
Mr. Schmidt, why would the Board of Education or anyone substitute their judgment for that of the legal authority in this matter?
Because
Is
the
that
buck
the best
stops
use,
with the Board
is
of
that
Education.
the best use of taxpayers' money for the board to be involved in trying to tell the lawyers how to execute?
So are you saying the
particular
Board of
position?
Education should just rubber stamp everything the lawyer says?
we don't have
course
any
not.
stamps,
Board.
Mr. Schmidt.
Of
We don't
course
have
not,
any, we don't have any
absolutely
stamps.
not. And the board was updated regarding this litigation this evening by Mr. Herron, and they are fully aware of the next step.
Okay, I was actually at the court, case, and I had asked this in the beginning with what the judge had said. And, I believe you said it before, and, I use the line again, you said, when ordered by the court, we will.
If and when ordered by the court.
If you look at the minutes, you compare them to minutes of previous, I'm gonna use Washington Board of Education, because it dealt with the Board of Education, not a municipality. I don't see that big of a difference. The minutes are clearly not reasonably comprehensible, as you already stated. So why are you going to wait for a court order, or why are you going to spend more tax dollars? You're spending more tax dollars. I mean, this is the waste in government that's being talked about in New Jersey, that our governor's been preaching since getting into office.
We're gonna do what our attorney advises us to do.
Okay, I mean, here's another thing, as a member of the public, I haven't seen Mr. Stern in months. I think he's been to 2 meetings since I started.
Because I don't want him to come, we have to pay him to come down here. We're trying to save that money.
So he's not coming down here. You really haven't been, you didn't find out, your lawyer didn't notify you that it was going to trial on the 16th. I think Ms. Kerr said you found out on the blog.
Next
I mean,
question.
any red flags going up? Anybody have any red flags in the head?
Yeah,
I'm asking, does anyone have any red flags about what's going on?
They've been well informed of what's going on in the litigation. And you seem,
I'm not talking, I'm talking the whole process, you know? All right. I don't know, I guess moving off this topic, because it's clearly not getting anywhere.
Okay.
These questions here. All right, we'll just end that. I mean, I guess everyone thinks board lawyers and professional staff are handling this lawsuit appropriately. I think it's a total mess.
We have
And
to
you're
agree-
entitled to your
We have to
opinion.
agree to disagree, Mr. Schmidt.
You're entitled to your opinion. Do you have any other questions?
Yes, I get two. Currently, is Dr. Ward still custodian of records for the Runnymede School District?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have a status on the contract with the superintendent?
That will be discussed, it's been discussed and it will be, continue to be discussed in January in executive session. But nothing formal.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other public comments? Mr. Connor?
Dan Connard, Williams Ave. I have a question about the executive minutes on May 10th. I spoke to Dr. Ward about it through email. I never said that.
You never said what?
What it says, Mr. Stern had addressed the concerns about Dan Connard, that there was some fraud or unethical events that occurred, and that I'm using Oprah to find out what happened. That's not from me. And now it's all over the internet saying that that's what I said.
Where is it at, Dan?
That's Mr. Stern addressed concerns specifically being raised by Dan Connor that some.
The third paragraph.
Unethical events occurred and.
Are you asking us to amend these minutes?
Yes, please.
Again?
Yes.
Okay, the same one, the same in their minutes?
The same minutes from May 10.
So, well, we would have to consult with the person who was the board secretary at the time to see how we could accurately amend those minutes, because she took the minutes. So while I certainly respect the fact that you don't believe that this is what you said or how you said it, she took the minutes. So we would need to figure out how we would amend those minutes appropriately and not betray the board secretary who took the minutes.
And when will that be?
We will definitely do that before the next meeting.
We will consult before the next meeting and see if she would see what she could find in her written notes, if she still has them. And at that point, we will see what
Okay.
she's comfortable amending.
All right.
But we will have an answer for you by next meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other public comments? Mr. Schmidt?
John Schmidt, Boss City. I think what Dan's referring to, and I said something along those lines, conversation to Mr. Stern when he called up and asked if me and Dan would agree to come in and speak with Dr. Ward, which at first I was willing to, and then after thinking about it, decided against it. And I think in one of my conversations with him, I says, Dan and me had talked about this, and as someone who's interested, wants government to operate efficiently, honestly, and to ensure that our public servants are truly being servants of the people.
So you think he mixed you and Dan
And
up?
I said to him, I says, I don't know what happened. I says, there could be some, when I saw the emails, looked like a very close friendship between Board Member Kirk and the ODA. You've all seen the ones I got from CCTS. I says, well, did any other, I probably phrased the question, something, unethical or something along those lines. Could that have possibly occurred? That's why I'm open to see. Maybe nothing happened, maybe something happened.
So, okay.
So that might
Thank
have
you.
been.
So then if we inserted your name there, it would be more accurate.
Yes, but I said, but I wanna make sure that, you know, it was something, I did not say something unethical happened. I says, you know, could there be, like, it was.
Concerns
I-
specifically raised by John Schmidt that some fraud or unethical events occurred. Would that be accurate,
No,
Mr. Schmidt?
it might have occurred.
Okay, is what you would like those minutes to read?
Well,
Now,
I don't know, I'm just saying, that I know in one of my conversations with her, I
I
said
think it's
something
hard
along
for us
those
to amend
lines.
minutes based on some theoretical possibilities.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd like to say is that while I recall that you were willing to meet, I remember you saying whatever Danny wants to do is what we will do. And then after you and Mr. Connor conferred, you decided not to meet with us.
Yes.
So perhaps that's why it is listed as Dan, because perhaps the
Maybe
conclusion
he had-
was that after conferring with Mr. Connor, the decision was made not to do this. And perhaps it was concluded that you were speaking for Mr. Connor because you were in agreement to meet until you conferred with Mr. Connor, and then you were no longer in agreement to meet. Perhaps that's why it read this way.
It was back in May, and I don't remember every.
Okay,
detail
my
about
goodness.
what happened.
That's a great
Okay.
point. Do you have any other comments?
I remember in general, what.
Do you? We all remember things in general, Mr. Schmidt. It's very difficult to recall things in specific for
Well,
everyone, wouldn't you say?
Anyway, I still have the floor, I'm just gonna hammer it home one more time, because this country, I have the God-given right to do so.
Yes, you.
Obviously, I hope there's at least a few board members who are thinking inside their heads, but why weren't we notified? Why is our attorney, why was this Schmidt's over?
Mr. Schmidt, I can promise you, every single board member here takes into consideration every single comment that you make. I promise
I
that.
suppose this board takes a look at itself. Maybe goes into executive session without the superintendent, without the lawyers, without the BA. As people and residents and
We did that the last 2
taxpayers,
months. We did.
and say to themselves, you know what? Are we really gonna be on the hook for more money? Is this for financial? Look at baseball. It's not that hard, okay? And I hate to say whatever happens, happens. But you're already on the hook, I think, for a few $1,000s, you know.
Do you have anything further? Do you have anything further? Is it,
At that point, I was interrupted.
hold on, but let me just finish with this. Mr. Schmidt, it is our policy, 3 minutes per person, and we give you the floor for way more than 3 minutes. So that's not being rude, you've had your 3 minutes. That's our policy. We have never
Really get
enforced
out
that
the
policy. So thank you. I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned, happy holidays.